G'day everyone. Hope you all can hear me.
Yeah, you're all good, Scott. Just need to turn your camera on.
My video, I tried turning it on and it says I can't because you stopped it.
Okay.
Oh, has that worked?
No, it's not on yet.
It says I can't start it because the host has stopped it. Am I the host or are you the host?
I'm the host right now, but I'll make you the host.
Sorry everyone, we'll be there in a sec.
You should be good to go now.
Okay. Oops. There we go. G'day everyone. I can hear but no video. Well, I hope I've just fixed that for you, Catherine. Hope you can hear and see me now. It feels weird because normally when I'm doing, g'day Tony, g'day Ross, will a record? Yes, a recording, I'm pretty sure tomorrow, is that right? A recording will be available for this after the event?
Yes, it'll be sent to everyone tomorrow.
Brilliant. There you go, Ross. Hi, Tony. Yes, so normally it feels weird because normally I have someone to banter with and there's just a photo of me to look at. So if it sounds like I'm rambling, it's probably because I am talking to myself feels weird, but I in thinking about it now, I wished I'd had everyone's faces on the screen, but we didn't think about it. So hopefully if I ever do anything like this again, I'll remember to do that. Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for being a part of this information packed webinar today. It's we're going to try and squeeze in a lot. We've got a lot planned. I've got a lot to tell you. I've got a lot to share. So please, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to make a note there on the chat. Let us know. And I've got Tamara helping. So if I miss it, because I have trouble seeing sometimes. So if I miss it, Tamara will butt in and interrupt, and she'll point out your question. So no question will be left unanswered. So just keep that in the back of your mind. What I want to do is I just want to start off, because as I said, we've got a lot to get through. And what I want to do is I'd like to start off by just giving you a little bit of a rundown, a bit of background, I guess, on why on earth I would decide to set up a course like this, and a bit about my history, a bit about where I've come from. So if you have worked with me before and you've heard these stories before, please, I apologize, but I think it's really important that we appreciate or understand the background, because there is a lineage to this course. There is a history, there is a journey that I've taken, and the person who helped me get to this point, there's a history for her as well. So there is a lineage, there's a history, there's a story to be told, and I think it's very important. So I'll just start with myself personally. Obviously everyone knows I'm Scott, and oh look, I'm wearing the same shirt as I was for that photo, are we? Anyway, so it is not my journey in life started off, and I'm sure, look, I'm not the only one, so please don't think I'm doing this as a sob story, because I know there are so many people out there who started life a bit rough, who had a childhood that wasn't ideal or whatever, but my childhood was one of those childhoods. So I need to talk about it, because without it, I wouldn't have got to this point. So I had a very abusive childhood, a very neglectful childhood, and a lot of my childhood was filled with uncertainty, a lot of confusion, a lot of questions, a lot of just anger and betrayal, all those sorts of things, because of the choices my mother made when she remarried. She chose someone who had, and this is very confidential and very private, so please know that this is not part of the story I normally talk about, but it is very important, because you've got to understand that what I'm going to be asking you to do during the course is reveal parts of yourself in your in the lessons and things. So it's important that right from day one, we understand that this course is all about being vulnerable, being honest, and being 1,000 million trillion % honest with yourself. I say it over and over and over. You can lie in my world, to me, in my family, you can lie to whoever you want. It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't change my impression of you one scrap. All right, so you can lie to whoever you want. You can tell anyone any story if it makes you feel better. But in my world, it's terribly important, and it's one of the core aspects of this course, is that you can lie to whoever you want as long as you never lie to yourself. Okay, so this is all about being truthful. It's about being honest. It's about being aware. It's about being vulnerable. It's about understanding that unless we're true to ourselves, who else is going to be? Unless we're honest with ourselves, who else is going to be? You know, unless we support ourselves, no one else is going to. So it's very important. So I need to understand that growing up was very tricky. I had a very difficult start to life. My mother chose to marry someone who she knew had been in prison for pedophilia, and this is in the 70s. So just understand that he was in prison during the 70s. So just understand, I'm not sure exactly the time frame or how long, or I know exactly what prison it was, but I can't be sure exactly how long he was there. All I know is that in the 70s, this sort of crime was still in its infancy, I guess, when it comes to awareness and public awareness. And so for him to be put in jail in the 70s for pedophilia, it must have been pretty extreme. All right, so all I know is that my experiences were extreme. They lasted a very, very long time. And I tried to speak to my mother about it, of course, but she believed that her prayers to God to send a good man had been answered, and so she refused to hear a word I said. Now, you might think, gosh, you poor thing or whatever. Please don't, because although I wish with all my heart that I'd never had to experience that shadier side of life, or that predatory side of the human nature, I guess, looking back now, I appreciate the fact that I did, because it really gave me a lot of insight. It gave me a lot of understanding as to how the world really works. And it also gave me access to my inner self, my shadow self, my inner landscape. It gave me permission, if you like, or reason to retreat into this other space. Now, a lot of people do find themselves in this other space, but the trick is to realize you're there, and to realize that this stay is temporary, and that you know, there's choices. It's like in the tarot deck, I guess it's the devil card or the underworld card in my deck. It's talks about those times when you feel like all the choices have been taken away, that you're feeling like you've been played like a puppet, where you feel trapped and confined. Well, that was the space I was in growing up. All right, I was in that space for a long, long time. And one day I realized that the gates in the tarot deck, in the tarot card, you'll see these gates in the distance, and they're slightly ajar. And that suggests that the option to move from that dark space is there, but you've just got to see the light. You've got to see the sun shining through. You've got to realize that the gate's unlocked in order to leave. You've got to realize that the strings that are making you dance like a puppet are very, very thin, and they can be broken by choice. So it took me a long time to realize that I had the option, the choice to break free. And as a result of that, when I did break free, and I did realize that what was happening to me wasn't normal, because it started when I was about 6. My life changed when I was about 6 or 7, when my stepfather came into our life. And so it continued on for about 17 years. And you think, gosh, that's a long time. And yes, I was a young adult when I finally woke up and realized that this wasn't normal, that it wasn't happening to every single other person. because when you're little, you don't realize, you think that this is normal. You think this because you're told it's normal. You're told that it's one thing when in your heart you believe it's another. And you start to believe it. You start to believe what you're told, and you start to believe there's no choice, and you start to believe that no one's going to believe you, and you start to believe that this is your fault, and you start to believe that you asked for it somehow. And you know what I mean? So after a while, like all that confusion builds up and gives you two choices: to either succumb to it and break, or to move forward. I moved forward because what other choice were available to me? As a 7-year-old, when it started, I did consider suicide. I did consider ending my life. I did consider going home, I guess you could say. I was raised in a church, so you know, it was actually, believe it or not, weirdly, if you're in Australia and know anything about the Hillsong Church, it's like a Pentecostal. Well, from my experiences, it's nothing more than a cult. So when I was little, we actually were a part of one of the founding churches of what became Hillsong. So you can understand my life was very overwhelming, very confusing, very false, because we had everything that opened and shut. Like we were that house that always had the new cars, or the garage door that opened and shut with remote control, because back then, of course, it wasn't a standard thing. You know, like we had things that other people would look to and say, gosh, they're doing all right. And that was the trick, because everything on the surface had to look brilliant, whereas what was happening behind closed doors was the polar opposite. All right, so once I broke free of all that, once I realized that the life that I was in wasn't my only option, because that lifestyle had been chosen for me. It was nothing to do with you know, I was too little. I couldn't have chosen a life like that, except if you look back and think, well, maybe karmically or whatever, but I don't know. All I know is that I had a choice. And even as a little boy, and I did consider suicide, as I said. I overheard my stepfather talking to a friend who he had been through the war with, and because my stepfather was quite a bit older than my mother, and he was talking to this friend, and the friend was talking about this cancer that he had, and he was talking about that when things got too bad, he was going to make a cup of tea for himself using these herbs that he had growing in the garden. So my ears pricked up, and I started to listen really intently, and I got those herbs and I grew them in a garden, in my mother's garden, knowing that one day if things got too bad, I could use those herbs on myself. And if things got really, really bad, maybe I could use it on the person who was causing me so much pain. And as a little boy, I knew that that was wrong. I knew that it was wrong to think that way, but it gave me comfort because I had a way out. I had created, even as a little boy, I decided if things get too bad, I can always do that. I can always leave the planet that way. I can always escape. Because I had that option, though, somehow in myself, I realized that I had this inner strength. I'd created for myself this safety net. Does that make sense? And I knew one day I could use it if I needed to, but because it was there, because I created that safety net, I felt okay. Like, it's hard to explain. I felt stronger because I had taken the power back. I had the choice to end it if I needed to. And you know, it was a big thing for me to decide and to come to the realization that my life meant more, and that I wasn't destined for this at all, that this way out, that I just knew about karma. I can't explain it to you guys. I can't explain it, except that even as that little boy, I knew that one day this would be resolved, that one day it would be answered, and one day there'd be a reason for it. I'd find a reason. All right, so I grow up and I'm very confused because I don't know who I am. I don't know how to be a boyfriend. Like at high school, I didn't know what it meant to be a boyfriend. I didn't know what it was to be in a loving, safe relationship with someone. I didn't know what that felt like. I didn't know what that meant. I had two role models in life, my parents, and I couldn't go to either of them. Does that make sense? It was very confusing, very overwhelming, very daunting, and very scary at times. So growing up, I had to rely on myself. I had to learn very quickly what it meant to be a functioning, productive human being. I didn't have role models. My parents never worked. My stepfather was on a pension. My mother was on a pension. I never saw a man get up and go to work and provide for his family. I was never taught that. I was never taught what it meant to have a protective father. I was never taught what it was like to have a mother who would do what a mother's meant to do and protect their children. I never had any of that. So growing up, as you know, as you can see, as you can feel, was very confusing. So when it came time to start dating, I didn't. I just didn't. I was too scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was appropriate. What's appropriate when, as a small child, you've been sexually abused by a predator? Like, where's the wonder? Where's the magic? Where's the joy of discovery? It's all gone. It's destroyed. And it becomes like a punishment. So you don't want it. You don't welcome it into your life. Does that make sense? So I was very confused and very lost. But I refused to say I was broken because some part of me just knew to hold on, to hold my breath, to hold my head above water. I just knew that one day it would all make sense. How did I know that? I don't know. I'll tell you something else. When I was 5, before my mother left my biological father and moved to interstate, where I started this new life with my stepfather, I was visited one night by an entity, I call him the white giant. I don't know what else to refer to him as. We lived in Queensland at the time. It was very hot. It was summer. And I don't know if you've ever seen those little pajamas that little boys wear, like the ones with the short sleeves and the short pants, and they're made of cotton, so they're very lightweight. And I was wearing those. I was wearing a pair of these short summer pajamas. And I was barefoot, obviously, because I was in bed. Anyway, I woke up and I was standing in my cubby house that my father had built sometime before. And this cubby house was very rustic and very short because I was short. Anyway, I was standing in the cubby house and there was a man there, very, very tall man. And he was dressed all in white. And his skin was white and he had large eyes, very inquisitive eyes, very kind eyes. And when he spoke to me, I could not see his mouth move. He had a little mouth, he had a mouth, but he didn't move his mouth and I could hear him talking. And I wasn't scared. And I was a bit confused as to why I was in the cubby house outside at night when I knew I wasn't allowed to be. And my mother was a safety freak at that time. She locked everything twice. So, you know, getting out of the house as a tiny little boy, I was about 7, 6, maybe 5 or 6 at the time. For me to get out of the house at night would have been a great feat. And I have no memory of leaving the house. I have no memory of walking down the 22 steps to the backyard. I have no memory of walking across the lawn to the cubby house. I have no memory of any of that. But I do have strong memory of chatting to this tall man who I referred to as the white giant. And he said he wasn't from around here. And he made a hint that he was somehow connected to me, but in the way off in the future. I don't even know what that means. All I know is that he felt that he needed to warn me of what was to come, which he did. He explained to me the things that were going to go on in my life. He didn't go into detail, but he did sort of touch on that there was going to be some times where I'd feel frightened or alone. And if I just held on, that it was like there was a greater plan. And I guess, and then I woke up the next morning, by the way, in bed, woke up in bed and my legs had dirt and mud on them. Now it was summer in Queensland. So where did the mud come from? How did I get back into the house? I couldn't explain it to my parents. The time. I was too little for a start to find the words, but when I tried to talk about the tall man, they just didn't believe me. They thought I dreamt it and they thought that I'd somehow done something tricky to get this mud on my legs. They wouldn't believe me when I said it wasn't true, that wasn't true, that I found myself outside. But this giant like almost prepared me for what was to come, and I can't explain it. There's no words. So jump forward many years. And here I am, face to face with the option of starting a relationship with someone who I thought was a friend, and we turned out they were way more than a friend. I'm now married to her, by the way. She's my wife, but it was very hard for me to figure out how to be a husband. I didn't know what it was appropriate. I didn't know how to be a dad. I didn't know how to be the guy or the role model or the one who provided for his family. Does that make sense? I felt like I was stripped of everything, that I'd been thrown out into the world, totally unprepared. Anyways, before meeting Trudy, I had met her, but there was this terrible accident in the family. Well, they weren't blood family. They were a family that I'd created for myself. I graduated to become a school teacher, and I had become firm friends with one of the particular families at the school. And their two sons were like little brothers to me. They'd become like I'd found a family. Like I couldn't believe my luck. I just couldn't believe this family had welcomed me in. And anyway, they were both killed in a terrible car accident. And I found the accident. They'd been visiting me, or they had been visiting me for New Year's Eve celebrations. And they'd come back a couple of days later, and they'd been playing cricket in the backyard with a friend of ours. And I was engaged to someone else at the time, to be honest, but and she wasn't there, but they decided they needed to go to the milk bar at the shops, the local shops, to get milk or get Coke or something. I can't remember what they were going there for. And I said, why don't you just walk the dog? And they were like, oh, it's too hot. It was summer again. And so this friend said, I'll drive them. Well, I knew something wasn't right, because I went in and started packing up their things. I don't even know why I did that. And then there was a knock on the door, and someone said there'd been an accident. Long story short, I found the accident, and there they were. And I think something in me, I won't go into that. It's just, I don't want to, I could talk about that all day, but I'm not going to. It's just really, it was the most life-changing experience that I've ever had. I felt like my world had just crumbled. I just felt like this is it. Like there is no reason left. And then what made it worse was I could hear them calling my name. They were over there beside the tree, like they'd hit a tree and the car had split in half, and they were very, very much gone. But I could hear them calling my name, and I said to the police officer, like, where are they? Like he said, they're gone. And I said, I could hear them though. And anyway, that night, I made a pact to go and search for them. I made a pact that I was going to find out what all this fucking bullshit called life was about. I was so determined, and I went on a journey, and here I am now all these years later. But there was this crucial time, this time frame, right, where if I hadn't have been offered this thing, this opportunity, this experience, if I hadn't been offered it, I probably would have joined them. I probably would have just done myself in, saved the world the burden of carrying me any longer, make way for someone more deserving. All right? That's how I felt. Anyway, I walked into a general store on the corner near my house to get milk. And on the pin board, like a public notice board, was this little card, and there was a business card, but written on the back of the business card was a simple little message, and it said, make your own dream catcher, $55, ring this number. So I took the business card off the pin board, and I bought my milk, and I went home and I rang up and I booked into the workshop, not knowing what the hell a dream catcher even was. I'd seen them in New Age stores and thought, because at the time, as I said, I was a school teacher, but I was also an art teacher. So I thought this would be something great that I could teach the kids. That's how I thought. That was my mind when and if I ever returned to teaching. Because I loved teaching. I loved being a teacher, but this took priority. So I'd stepped away from the job for a while to recover, I guess. And so here I am at this workshop a couple of weeks later. And when I knocked on the door to be let in, she answered the door and she said, "That was quick." I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, "I rang as soon as I got the card and we said it was today. So I didn't mean to get here early." She goes, "That's not what I meant." She said, "Come in." Anyway, it turns out I was the only person at the workshop because this was way before internet or emails or anything like that, or social media. So I'd taken the woman's only form of advertising off the pinboard. I know it's a bit funny, but thank you, Tony. That means a lot. So I'd taken the woman's only form of advertising off the pinboard and then wondered why I was the only one at the workshop, but it was all meant to be. It was all designed like that, because as I was weaving the dream catcher, and as you can see, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of my life. This was the day that I took control. I took everything back. I was like, "No, you're not in charge of me anymore. I'm in charge of me now. Everything I do from this day forward is going to be me, about me." And she taught me the dream catcher was essentially that process of pulling apart your life web and reweaving it to suit your intentions. The dream catcher is called the dream catcher because it helps you capture your dreams. But move past the want for a new car, or move past the want for a new life or a new love in your life. Think about, she taught me to understand that the dream catcher helps you to journey deep within yourself and to weave out the things that confuse you or don't serve you anymore. And that's what I did. It took me quite a while to weave this dream catcher. While I was weaving it, I had the most amazing feeling, this feeling of just bliss and joy come over me. And I very clearly heard a voice say, "You are home." I didn't even know what that meant. Anyway, I told the woman running the workshop what I'd heard, and she just smiled. She just smiled and let me keep weaving. When I'd finished the dream catcher, and I was very proud of it because it was strong and it represented everything that she taught me, that she told me what the dream catcher was going to help me to achieve, and she said, "So if you're going to weave a dream catcher, make sure it's the best you can be, because second best isn't good enough." And I did. I made it my best. Well, when we finished the dream catcher, she said, "Would you like to come back tomorrow?" And I said, "For what?" And she said, "I've got more things to teach you." And being a sarcastic person, which I still am, I said with a laugh, in a respectful way, but with a laugh, I said, "What's that going to cost me?" And she laughed back and she said, "I'm not going to take any money, but it will cost you everything." And she smiled as she said it. She said, "It's going to cost you a lot." But she said, "I'm not going to take any money." So I rocked up the next day, and I rocked up the day after, and I rocked up the day after, and I rocked up the day. And about 2 years later, I left. We're still very, very dear friends. Weirdly, her name is Raven, which is obviously a bird that is very significant to me now. But she helped me during those 2 years roughly, she helped me to systematically, I guess, she pulled me apart piece by piece. She stripped away everything that I thought was real. She took every single reality that I held on to and put it on a pile over there. She said, "If we're going to keep working together," she said, "you need to leave your shit at the door. You can't, it's not welcome here. And I will help you to do that." So think about it, like over the 2 years, she systematically pulled me apart. Every single thing that I thought was real, she challenged it, but not in an aggressive, verbal way. She would just simply suggest that I do something, like an activity, or I should read something, or I should, like she sent me out into the paddocks for days to find answers. She sent me out there to sit and commune with nature until I had an answer. So that's part of the course. Obviously, that's how every single part of my experience with Raven, I have replicated in some way or another. It's like I'm giving you the chance. It's sorry. It's not just a course. Okay? It's not just a course. It's not just a workshop. It's a journey home. And I've written it in such a way that I'll walk with you, and we will explore all the things that I explored with Raven. I will literally help you to pull yourself apart and rebuild yourself, because you know why? You're freaking worth it. And without you, the world literally wouldn't be the same. So the idea of this course, sorry I keep crying, but I'm not sad, by the way. Please don't think I'm sad. I'm really, I feel very blessed. I wish I'd brought a tissue with me, but I feel very, very blessed about to do this for you. Okay, so I'm not going to blubber anymore, but I want you to understand that this whole course is a reenactment. It's like, imagine, and I don't mean this in an egotistical way, but if you were to follow me and follow my footprints, the steps that I'd trodden prior, you'd experience what I'm experiencing. I mean, so, and I'll talk about what the course involves, the content, if you like, in a minute, but I really, really, really want you to understand that this course is a journey. So it's going to be tough at times. And trust me, I complained a lot. I whinged and I sooked a lot during my training with Raven. And you know what she said to me? Do you want this or not? Do you want this or not? She wasn't charging me, but, you know, I was there. Thank you, Catherine. Blubbering. I tell everyone, Catherine, that I have this syndrome called leaky eye syndrome, because being that I've gone through, I guess, a lot in the past, and I held my emotions in for so long when I was little. The day I realized I could be myself and express myself freely, I guess the tears just started. And they're not sad tears, they're grateful tears. They're like, I can't believe that Spirit chose me. Can't believe that Spirit chose me to do this work. I can't believe that Spirit led me to Raven. I can't believe that Raven dedicated every day, from dawn until dark, every day for 2 years, for me. And you know what she said? She said, I'm going to share everything I know with you. I'm going to help you in any way I can. And she said, and all I ask is in return is that you share it. You share it with others. Thanks, Ross, you're right. It hasn't improved over time. It's got worse. My leaky eye syndrome. She said, I'm not going to charge you. All I'm asking for you, the only thing I ask that you promise me is that you'll share this knowledge with others. And I have done that since day one. I have made it my mission to honor that promise. And as I get older, I realize that, you know, traveling all over the country and everything is getting increasingly more difficult since I had my eye accident and all sorts of stuff that's happened over the years. And the only way I can really honor it now in a lasting way is to encourage others like yourself to walk the path with me. And that's what I'm going to do. So that's enough of me. I hope I've got you to the point where you understand that I'm sharing something with you. I'm not teaching you, okay? You're not going to learn anything as such, because this course is about remembering, okay? It's about remembering something that is in you and it's been there since time began. We're all in this together. We're all mammals. We're all of the animal kingdom in so many ways. We share like something like 97, 98% of the same DNA as gorillas, depending on how you measure it, of course, but we share that much DNA with, we are literally mammals just like them. We are of the natural world. We are something that was created with an intention that we have taken to the extreme and just lost our way somehow. This course is intended to help you to remember that and to bring yourself back to that place of personal ownership and control. Does that make sense? So I guess I want you to understand, I've got some little activities and stuff we're going to do. You're not going to just be sitting here listening to me rambling on. I've got some activities and some little things I want to share with you as well. But one of the questions that people have asked me a lot, even my own kids ask me, Dad, what's in it for them? What's in it for the people? Like, why would they want to sign up and do a course with you? Why would they want to learn how to do these things? How's it going to benefit them? Do you know what? There's several different ways of looking at it. Just doing it for yourself, because that's all I did it for. I followed this whole path, and initially I did it because I knew that I had a purpose. I knew that I wasn't a mistake. I knew I wasn't just put on this planet to be a plaything for other people or to fill up space. I knew that I had something important to do. I just knew it, even as a little kid. So doing it just for yourself, for your own healing, because that's what this course is about. It's about healing. You're not learning, you're remembering, and as a result, there's healing. And doing it for yourself is, I would hope that you're all doing it for that reason. I hope you're not here because you think, oh, this is, because there is options for this, there is room for this, keeping in mind. But if you're here just because you think, okay, I can make lots and lots of money, then you probably come to the wrong place. I mean, you can make lots and lots of money if that's where your intention is, but at the heart of the moment, the heart of the core of the issue, I hope you're all here for yourself. I hope you're all here to remember and to reconnect and to find your way home, because that's would make me so happy. But it's not about, because I'm an emotional person, I've got some notes. If you see me looking down sometimes, it's because I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to get overwhelmed and forget something. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to read notes, but I've got points here. So if you see me looking down, understand that it's a course of, I call this, I've got the name of my school is the School of Earth Medicine. All right, now earth medicine is a really, really old term. It's an old word, old term that really talks about our connection to things. Earth medicine isn't about the earth so much. It's about our relationship to the Mother Earth. It's our, and it talks about cellular memory and genetic memory. It talks about knowing. It talks about remembering times before this time. It's about remembering the role we played when time was new, or when the ancestors were still trying to shape the land and create form. We were there for that. We were all there. We're part of it. And we've never forgotten. We've just gone through different experiences as we've gone through and changed our form. We might have been, a woman in one life and a man in another life, or in some belief systems, we could have been a penguin in another life, or a mountain, or a tree, or a river. But it's about remembering that connection to the earth. Okay, so that's what this whole course is really about, remembering and reconnecting and taking that knowledge that was always ours back. Because over time it's been stolen from us by life, by just the way the world moves, with technology, with the pressure and expectation, and we've been pulled apart. We were once a community-based animal, and now we've been pulled apart and expected to live in isolation and solitude. Like, we just don't thrive like that. We are a community animal. We are a herd animal. We love to have people around us. We need community. And I guess by starting this course and by starting Animal Dreaming, I was trying to create a community. So I want you to know that in this remembering, you're also going to remember you're a part of something really sacred. You're a part of something big. And I've made some very close and dear friends. Sure, I don't keep in touch with a lot of people as much as I probably should, but life gets in the way. But those people know that when I see them, they're my friends. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to explain why you haven't spoken to someone for a long time, because life gets in the way. In my world, this community we're creating is one of kinship and family and connection. And so we have each other as well. So just remember that while we're remembering and we're trying to figure out why am I wanting to do this course, doing it for yourself and doing it to heal is the ultimate reason. All right. So, but if you want to, I've got my little note here that's because this is what it's, this is the reason, this is what, it's not just about getting you to get in touch with yourself and to remember, it's also about allowing you the permission, if you like, to be still and to listen and to stop the chatter and to stop the habit that we have of listening to everyone else's advice and everyone else's guidance and everyone else's instructions to the point where we forget what our own dreams are. Does that make sense? We just, I said to them, like, I was out shopping once a long, long time ago with my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time. And she said, she was with her mum and she picked up this dress. She held up this dress and she said, do you like this dress? And her mum said, I wouldn't wear it. So she put it back. And I said, why'd you do that? And she said, well, Mum didn't like it. I said, no, she didn't. She didn't say that. She said she wouldn't wear it. And you weren't asking her, would she wear it? You asked her, did she like it? So because you assume she didn't like it, you put it back. Does that make sense? So this is about us doing what we know to be true for us. We know that we are on a path of healing. We're on a path to leading us somewhere, even if it's just back to our true authentic self. Does that make sense? So it's about listening. And as a result of listening, we heal. We start to reclaim power. We start to reclaim knowledge. We start to reclaim like ownership of who we are and why we're here. You just start to remember stuff when you're not cluttered with all the instructions and words of everyone else. So it's about the silence. It's also about that inner knowing and trusting the fact that, we've got these senses that we work with. We've got the ability to see and hear and taste, but we've also got this other sense, this sixth sense that the animals just rely on. They don't even think about it. They don't say, oh my God, how did you know that? They don't ask that. They don't ask that. It's because everyone knows that. Doesn't everyone know that? It's about intuition. It's about that gut knowing. It's about that connection to something that's invisible. It's just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And intuition is powerful stuff. Like today, it's like it's a freak gift. Whereas once upon a time, it was just like breathing. All right, so this is what the course is. It's not about, like, people think, oh, Scott, you're so knowledgeable, you're so insightful, you're so spiritual, you're so intuitive. It's like, oh, shut up. It's like, stop doing that. Like, we're all these things. You can breathe, you can, like, sure, but you can taste, you can touch, you can hear, you can, but you can also sense. And that's what this course is about too, just trusting 1000%, even though it's impossible, trusting 100% your intuitive abilities and your right to know, and that connection that we have with all living things. Like, everything holds energy, everything holds a life force. So in a minute, I'm going to actually get you to feel what energy feels like. So I don't know if any of you ever have. Does that make sense? Like, I can't assume. So I want you to show what energy feels like and how you can't see it, but it's so physical. It feels almost tangible. It feels physical. It's hard to explain. All right, so it's about trusting your intuition, okay, but it's also reclaiming that sense of who you are. So it's that growing up and feeling like you've got to fit in or shape yourself to please other people's impressions, or you've got to act in a certain way or speak in a certain way or love a certain type of way, or, be inspired or driven or drawn to certain types of people. Like, what? This is indoctrination. This is not truth. This is not remembering. This is about being told what to believe. And we've all gone through that at one point or other in our life. Or, you've got to be this thin or this tall, or you've got to have this colored hair, or gosh, your skin needs to be this color, or, you've got to pray to this God, or you've got to do this sort of work to be recognized and be seen as successful. Like, what a load of crap. I haven't had a job since 1923. That's what I tell people. I've been doing this for as long as I can remember. Sure, we owned a shop. Sure, we now own a publishing company, but they're like the benefits that come with doing what I know to be true. Like they're the pluses, the bonuses, the extra things I get to do on the side when I'm following my true path. Does that make sense? I refuse to fit in anymore. I refuse to apologize. I don't care what anyone thinks of me, because you know what? It's none of my business. If they want to think these things, it's usually because I'm mirroring something they don't like about themselves. And I'm sure that might sound like I'm being a little bit dismissive and a little bit arrogant, but I can't allow myself to invest in the worries of why people think I'm this or why people assume I'm that. I can't live like that anymore. I just live as an example, and that's what I'm doing with my kids. I'm being an example. And that was a decision I made way back when I was figuring out how to be a dad. I didn't know how to be a dad. So I just thought, I'm going to learn by example, and I'm going to watch, and I'm going to observe, I'm going to listen to my kids, because they'll tell me what sort of a dad I need to be. So it's about tapping back into your true and authentic self, the non-apologetic self. Okay, that's what this course is really about. It's about getting you to trust, I can do this, I am this person. My connection to nature isn't just because I like being outside. It's not just because I've got a dog. There's something more connected. We're all one. We're all part of this cosmos. We are equal to the mountains and the rivers and I've raised my kids to understand that we call this planet Mother Earth. We live on her back, right? So she's our mother, so we must be her kids. And so everyone who lives on the planet are her kids, which means we're all brothers and sisters. We're all related to one another. And that includes the trees and the rocks and the stones, because they're all living things. But I also raised my kids to understand that if we look to the mountains, they're like the breasts of the Earth Mother. When we look to the rivers, they're like her veins. When we look to the oceans, it's like that was like the great womb that she was born from in the first place, Grandmother Ocean. When I see the sun, raise the kids to understand that you want to talk to Great Spirit, you want to talk to your grandfather, talk to the sun, not look to the sun because you burn your eyes out, but pray or talk to the sun. The moon is the grandmother, it's the mother energy. So every single aspect, the trees are the standing people. My little boy said to me once, Dad, do the trees get bored standing still so long? They never get to walk around. Do they ever get bored? And I explained how they all talk to each other with their root systems, how they all connect. So he said, wow. And I said, so if you sit under one of these trees when you grow up and you need to talk to me, just offer your prayers and the tree will get that message to me through the root system. Even if I'm not in the same country as you, I'll know. I'll feel your call. That makes sense. So I raised my kids to understand that we're all part of this giant bowl of soup, and we're all terribly important ingredients. So it's about remembering your authentic self. I've got a few little rules. Can I just read something out to you? If I can, my eyes are not too blurry. I've got these little golden rules that I live by, and they may be familiar to you, but I've changed because they've been borrowed. They're not my own, but I've seen and I've recognised these rules that I live by in other people's work, and at some point I don't know for sure whether I recognise them because it was universal or because I've read them at some point or someone's taught me. But there's 8 of them. And this course is going to teach you to live by these 8 golden rules if you're going to make grief and disappointment in others your friend, if you're going to be authentic, and if you're going to be open to hearing and understanding the secret language of nature. Like, you really have to be true to yourself. You have to be put all the bullshit and the lies that you tell yourself aside. You don't tell anyone that they're there, but you need to be able to stand in a place of truth. Okay. And so this course will help you realize that the importance of ensuring that your words are above reproach. So be true to your word. I try my hardest to be true to my word. If I say to someone, this is what I think you should do, then I'm going to go and do that myself. I'm not going to, expect someone to do something I'm not prepared to do myself. So even in a reading or something like that, when I'm doing a reading and the opportunity comes up to give someone some guidance, it'll mirror some part of my own life, and then I'll action it myself. So ensure your word remains above reproach. Okay, remain true to your word. And this was a big one for me, not taking anything personally. I used to take offense to everything. I thought everything that was said to me that sounded critical was a criticism. I thought that, because, then I realized one day how people believe, or what people see, what people think when they see me, or what people believe. It's none of my business. Like, I can't change it. And the effort that goes into trying to change someone's opinion of you is so great. And often it backfires, or it makes it worse. So let time deal with it. Let karma deal with it. Okay, I don't speak to my family. I don't speak to a lot of people in my life that were once important to me when I was growing up, because I was trying to be something that they needed me to be. And I worried about what they thought. And then the day I realized I didn't have to worry anymore, they didn't like that. So a lot of them just disappeared. And I'm sure you've all experienced that. But it's normal, it's okay, and it's actually healthy. So never assume. I try not to assume things. If I don't understand something, I'm not going to think, oh, maybe they meant that. I'll ask. If you know me, you'll know that I'm not backward in asking tricky questions. I had someone who had lost their husband, and I asked them, does it hurt? Because I genuinely cared. I wanted to know. I didn't want to assume. So just understand that asking those tricky questions is what gets you places. My grandfather taught me when I was very little, there's no harm in asking. The worst that can happen is they'll say no. No big deal. So I asked, never assume. Okay, if there's anything you're worrying, you're not sure, ask, check it. Like, check it twice, because you deserve the truth. Okay, even if it's deep within yourself, you deserve to know the truth. Next thing, don't take anything for granted. Be grateful. Live in a state of gratitude at all times. And just when you realize that you're taking things for granted, apologize. Just say, I'm really sorry, Spirit. I didn't mean to forget. I'm human, blah, blah, blah. Make excuses as much as you want. But at the end of the day, just live in a state of gratitude. Just be grateful, because it is, growing up, I did not believe it could possibly be true, but it can always get worse. It can always be worse. And so if you're in a state of happiness right now, relish it, for goodness sake. Don't take it for granted. Do you know what I mean? Always do your best. During this course, I only want your best, okay? That sounds a lot, but it's not. I don't want perfection. I don't want perfect. I don't care if you can't spell. I don't care if your grammar's not good. I don't give a shit. Like, if you're not confident to write, record because there's assessments and projects and things in my course. Okay, so just record. I want you to remain open. This is another rule. Remain open. Okay. Shutting a door prevents anyone from going in. Shutting your mind prevents new thoughts and ideas coming. Does that make sense? So you don't have to accept everything as truth. You don't have to swallow every word that you're told and, oh, Scott said this, so it must be right. Don't do that, because that's boring. Okay, it is. And I don't want fake. I want authentic, but also remain open. Just be open to the possibility of someone else having a thought that's different to yours, and take it on board and try it out for sizes. If it works, keep it. If it doesn't, give it back. No big deal. This is a big one too, because this follows on what I just said. Don't be gullible. Don't believe everything that you're told. It's okay to be skeptical, as long as you're prepared to look, listen, and learn and grow. Like, seriously, if you're told something and you think, oh, that's a bit crap, don't dismiss it. Experiment, try it, see what it feels like. And if it's not it doesn't fit into your belief system, no harm done. But you don't have to swallow everything you're told as truth. You just don't. And I'm not that sort of a person. So if you start doing that, I will come after you. Probably I'll be cross. Because what I always say, do not leave a workshop from me ever saying, Scott said this, because I'm only sharing. Okay, I'm not teaching. I'm not instructing. You don't have to believe what I believe. Okay, please understand that. And when you're doing your assessments, don't be afraid to say, look, I understand what this is about, but just understand that everything that's in the course is there for a reason. It's there to trigger something else. It's something there. It's like a domino effect. And there is a sequence. So just because you might not get it now doesn't mean to say it's not going to make sense halfway through or when you finish the course. Does that make sense? But you don't have to believe me. Just try it and see how it feels, and then come up with your own answers. Okay, the last one that I want to talk about is my phone's ringing. Thankfully, it's on silent. The last one is be of service. That's the last golden rule. Be of service to others, the world, Mother Earth, and most importantly, yourself. Be of service. Be helpful. Do something to make a difference. Make a mark. You know, leave a mark that someone will say, "Gosh, Mary Kerr did that. She taught me that." Like that, what a wonderful legacy. What a wonderful thing to leave behind. I only said that, Mary, because your name was in the chat room there. All right. So the other part of the course, the other part that's in it for you is that you'll develop a stronger relationship with the Earth Mother. You will connect. You will start to realize that she's talking to you. You'll start to understand her language. You'll start to see nature in all things. You'll start to see light in other people. You'll start to recognize your own light. You'll start to see that, you know, if you have an instinctual thought about something, there's a big chance it's probably correct. So it's this reconnection to the Earth Mother, and so you'll find yourself coming home, not just to that, to yourself, but to the Earth. You'll feel part of something, you will. But putting all that aside, the course that we're offering is also training you to become a practitioner. Does that make sense? You're going to become, there is a title, if you like, that it comes with it. And when you're finished, you can, you know, make money from this. And the Earth is our mother, right? So we're her children. Like any mother, she'd want her kids to thrive. She'd want her kids to be able to provide for themselves. Now, we aren't someone who goes, some people still hunt. I'm not taking away from that. Or some people still garden and grow their own vegetables. But we're not in a world anymore that allows for, you know, for a lot of people to be self-sustaining. Okay, so once upon a time, we'd raise chickens or we'd grow crops and we'd swap with each other, exchange. So we'd always have bread in the cupboard if we had pigs because we'd swap. Does that make sense? Not anymore. So for us to provide for our family, we have to be able to earn this thing called money. Now, spirit has nothing to do with money. We created money for ourselves. It's a control technique. It's something that I've got more than you. Spirit didn't make money, but spirit understands that money makes us happy. So for us to earn an income, we have to have a job, I guess. So what I'm offering here is the chance. Right through this course, I'll be teaching you how to make things like dream catchers and drums and shields and all sorts of other things. Shields, not in a battle, but more of a spiritual sense, like a shield. I'll explain all that another time. But the point of this is that then you can turn around, like Raven said to me, go out and share this knowledge. Go out and share it with others. Teach other people how to weave their web. Teach other people how to reconnect to the mother, the Earth Mother, her heartbeat by creating a drum. Teach them how to do that and charge them. Okay, I do have prices that I charge and I'm happy to share. My prices are not as high as a lot of other people's. You can charge whatever your little heart desires, but the whole point is that there's a chance there for you as an animal dreaming practitioner, as a certified animal dreaming practitioner, to go out and run animal dreaming approved workshops. You'll have our support, but you'll also have, and I'll talk about the cover and the protection that comes with being a practitioner after. So you can run workshops on how to create the craft items, the drums, the shields, all those sorts of things, but you can also earn an income by and you'll realize as we go through, you can run retreats, if you like, or seminars or conferences or whatever you want, teaching the philosophy of animal dreaming, because this is a philosophy. There is a journey here. There's a point. It's a way of life. It's not just something that you do, you know, on the weekend. This is a way of life. Like, it's something that will become so ingrained and so natural. You won't realize you're doing it anymore. It'll be so natural, like breathing. Does that make sense? Like, so there is a philosophy there. There's a map that I'm offering that people could follow to bring themselves home. And as a practitioner, I guess it's your role. It could be seen as your role to be those facilitators, those mediators of change. Does that make sense? So you can do it in those two ways. You'll be able to do readings for people using the cards, because I'm going to teach you how or what and why the cards were written in the first place, but the symbology behind them and how to read them without ever needing, this is the weird part, I wrote the book, but you don't even need the book. It's all written, it's all clearly illustrated in the cards themselves, but how to read them with confidence. That'll make sense. You've got to create an income for yourself. But the other best thing is that even if you are, say, a Reiki practitioner or a massage therapist or a school teacher or a veterinarian, and you've already got a solid job that's earning you a good income, you can very easily integrate everything you've learned in this course into those other areas. So you'll know, for example, I've had lots of people say when they're doing a Reiki session, the animals will appear to them in visions, and you'll know what to say when that happens because you'll have an understanding of how to interpret what they're trying to say. Does that make sense? And you won't have to guess. You won't have to feel like I'm making this up. You won't have to, because it'll be just a knowing. All right. And I guess the other outcome is you become a living example of how to reconnect to nature and how to be a living example of how to live in a state of connection. And although that's not so financially rewarding, I guess, the personal rewards are massive. So however you look at this course, there's a valid reason for getting involved and being a part of it. Now, talking about energy, I mentioned before, one of the first things that Raven taught me when I was training under her was that every single thing of nature and every living thing has or emits an energy, like an aura, if you like, but an energy is emitted, a life force. So that's why people, when they pick up crystals, they'll respond to the life force. They'll respond to the energy. Some people pick up, like, for example, I've got these feathers here. I've got, like, this is an eagle feather. I've got some amazing feathers here. This one's trying to reach for one that's very special. This one, look how big that is. That, I have to hold it right back here for you to, oh gosh, how I do that. See how big it is? This is the eagle feather, by the way, a wedge-tailed eagle. And this feather isn't even one of the primary flight feathers. This feather is from a condor, a South American condor. It's huge. Look how thick the quill is. Compare that to my little finger. You'll see how big these birds must be and how strong they must be. When people pick up these feathers, they can feel the energy of the bird. It's not the feather so much, but the bird that it once belonged to. And that's why I wrap the ends in red cotton to represent, to embody, if you like, the energy of the condor that gifted this feather to me. I'll be talking about these all the way through the course. I've got lots and lots of different feathers. Look, I'll just show you this other one. This one's one of my favorites. Look at this one. How beautiful is that? Oops, can you see that? See that? And if you flip it over, it's yellow on the back. This is a macaw feather from a macaw. Anyway, I've got lots of feathers, but people feel energy when they're holding a crystal. People feel energy when they're, if you're a botanical person, people feel and see energy of plants. I remember when I was a kid, I used to collect the flowers that my mother had thrown onto the compost bin, onto the compost pile when they started to wilt. And I would go out and I'd collect those flowers and I'd put them into the soil and I would sing to them, and 9 times out of 10 they would grow. So I was the boy with the green thumb. But I believed it was because I recognized the energy and I nurtured the energy so much than the planted from the flower that was wilting. I guess I brought it back to life, but it just took root and became a plant. Like that often happened when I did that. So I felt the energy of the plants. I felt the energy of nature. So I'm talking there about being mindful of the fairy realm and the other elemental beings. I can feel the energy of those creatures when I'm out, or those beings when I'm out in nature. So we all emit energy. The food you eat emits energy. So if you're eating, say, for example, a green salad or an apple or a slice of watermelon, the energy is going to be really strong because it's still very close to its original form, like it's not processed in any way, and it still is intact, energetically intact. But if you eat something like a McDonald's hamburger, it looks like all the same things, but it doesn't have the same feel. It's not going to emit the same sort of energy. And if you put it in, if you were to take those, I don't know what the proper word is for, I can never pronounce it, the aura photos, the photos when they take a photo and it shows all the colors. An apple would have this amazing glow around it, whereas a McDonald's hamburger probably wouldn't have anything, if not just a hint of an aura. So everything emits an energy. And so if you can imagine your whole body being sheathed or protected by a layer of energy, that's the energy that people feel when they stand too close, or when you feel theirs when they stand too close, when someone gets too close into your space because they're protruding and entering that energetic shield, that energetic field, and it's sort of like bordering on a bit rude. Unless, of course, it's invited, that's different again, because then you become one with their energy and the merging is complete. Like it's like totally envelops you both. That's a totally different sharing of energy, but everything and everyone of nature holds an energy. So what I'm going to ask you to do is imagine, and I'll explain later, the imagination is a powerful thing, and it's the beginning of pretty much all the creation. So if you can imagine this energy sheath surrounding your body, and if you could just imagine it, if you were to close your eyes and just breathe calmly in through your nose and out through your mouth, and just allow yourself to be still and allow your body to relax and allow your body to be calm, and place it, like I'm holding my hand up so you can see it. If you were to place your hand on your lap so that it's not under any pressure of being held there while you're relaxing. And if you could allow yourself to feel the tingling and the energetic shield that you are naturally born with. Thank you, Barbara. I'll see you soon. Have a good day. Imagine the energy building and growing there and congregating. You will feel your hand become warm. You'll feel your hand starting to buzz. And if you were to allow that energy, just visualize that energy as a ball in your hand. And if you were to roll it from one palm to the other, you would feel the shift. If you were just to gently roll that ball of energy from one palm to the other, you would feel the shift. And as it leaves one palm and enters the other palm, the receiving palm, you would feel warmth. And the palm that's having it leave would feel cool, like a breeze, because there's a vacancy there. If you could just try that now or later, if you could just, it's like feeling the aura, it's like feeling the energy, the protective energy that's the Earth Mother has one. It's the ozone layer. She has a protective sheath that protects her. All living things have one. And I guess the whole point of this is to understand that energy that you're emitting, that energy that you're feeling in crystals, the energy that you're feeling in the apple or the dog or the palm tree, it's the same energy that you emit. You know what I mean? There's no dog energy, there's no cat energy, it's just energy. And it can merge and it can become one. And that's where the whole connection, that whole, Judy, I'm glad to hear that you play with the energy. People do it. People don't realize, that they're doing it. People will sit there sometimes and they'll just do this with their hands. And if you just watch them, they'll just do it sometimes when they're sitting in the park or they're watching TV and they're just feeling the energy. Animals do it, kids do it naturally. It's just a powerful thing. So if you can just allow yourself to understand that energy is something that is guiding us, it's driving us, it's inspiring us, it's connecting us. It's not just a life force, it's also consciousness, it's a desire to heal, it's querying, it's questioning, it's all those things. And if you can just learn to become one with your energetic self, I guess this process is going to become a lot easier. All right, so let's talk about the course itself. Let's just talk about some of the factual figures and numbers and what time is it. So it's 10 past 12 here, which means I've still got about 50 minutes left. I'm going to read this to you because there's a lot of points, and I'll just hold it up here so it looks like I'm talking to you, but I'm really holding it in front of me. Okay, so the course itself is split over 11 months. And there is 6 levels. So we start off at level 1 and go through to level 6. The secret is, though, that you can't jump about. As I said, it's sequential. And the first level, I guess, is asking you to do what Raven did to me. That first level really is primarily focused on stripping you apart, getting you to understand that there's a purpose for all this. I'm going to be asking you to look at your story. I'm going to be getting you to look at the things that trigger, all that sort of stuff. And we're not going to dismiss any of it because it's all medicine. It's all what makes us who we are. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to ask you to scrap or delete anything, but I'm going to ask you to prioritize it and to group it and to, without being told, you're just going to know. By the way, I'm not going to say, now I want you to do this with that thought. That's not what's going to happen. You will slowly start to figure it out yourself, because no, Raven didn't sit me down and say, so today we're going to look at this aspect of yourself. She didn't do that. She just gave me a reading to do, or like we'd sit and make something, or we would just have a discussion about angels or something like that. And I would just realize, oh gosh, I just figured something out. And it's designed in such a way to help you to get to that point. So there's 6 sequential levels, and it's all online. I've had so many people ask me, is there any one-on-one workshops? Well, we've got opportunities for us to work together, but it's all online, webinar based, or so there's no need to worry that you're going to have to be somewhere at a certain time on a certain day. That's not going to happen. Okay, so you can work at your own pace, but there's a time frame for each level, and for each lesson even there's a time frame, which I'll explain as we go, because they're different. There's no 2 are the same. Does that make sense? So within that 6 levels, there are 24 lessons. That's 24 modules. And each one of those takes you on a level down, like a deeper level within yourself. And then after a little while, we sit there for a bit and we spend time looking at that space. And then the lighter part of the course leads you back out again. Does that make sense? So it's like a journey into the underworld. We get to sit and process and ponder and rethink and redecide, and then we sit there for a bit and then we journey back out again into the world. It's like the tarot, the journey of the fool, as he goes out into life, oblivious of all the things he might experience and the lessons he learns along the way, and how he returns home a complete and total being. Exactly, Catherine, like a labyrinth. Perfect. Okay, so it's exactly what it is. The course is designed like a labyrinth. The thing with a labyrinth is that there's one path, okay? There's no tricks and turns like a maze. A maze and a labyrinth are totally different. A maze is designed to confuse you and trick you. A labyrinth, there's one path that leads in, and there's a path that leads you back out. Essentially, it's the same path. The only trick to it, the only challenge comes with the question, are you prepared to enter? Are you prepared to take the journey? In some stories, in the center of the labyrinth, there's a being or a monster or some sort of demon that you must overthrow and slay. This journey is no different, because that journey into your inner self is where you're going to meet your indoctrinated self. And with the help of this journey, will emerge our true authentic self, because we've literally killed off our familiar self, that indoctrinated self, that self that we've raised to believe is true, when we know in our hearts it's not. Does that make sense? There's 7, I call them, so we also have 6 webinars where we catch up. So we'll start the whole course with a webinar, and then we'll explain how it's going to happen. You'll get your first lesson and off we'll go. And then when that level's finished, we'll have another webinar where we'll catch up, debrief, chat about what's coming up, answer any questions that have happened during the course. And then we start the next level and vice versa. And so there's 6 of those experiences. There's other little webinar-led sessions during the course, but there's those 6 main opportunities to catch up where we debrief. And I'll be running those, I'll be facilitating those myself. Okay, so I call them practical workshops, because it's those workshops that they're still online, And I may share with you like how to do it, how to do the process or whatever we're going to be looking at with a video tutorial, or maybe there'll be notes. There'll be probably notes all the time, but you know, they're like more hands-on and sort of a bit more personal. And so they're things that you can show others, you know, like guess what I learned, I'll teach you how to do it too, you know, it's sort of fun things. So I call them practicals, mainly because they're like at the high school, and we had all the subjects, we had electives, you could choose something fun to do. It's like that. But anyway, they're all part of the course. They're things that I learned with Raven. They're still essential parts of the course, but more like a fun activity. But they're deeply meaningful, so don't dismiss them as being important, because they are very important. There'll be recorded videos, like video tutorials. I'm going to organise, well, I've organised it for you to have audio downloads. So sometimes I'll be wanting you to listen rather than watch. So I'll be sharing, because it's easier for me to teach it if there's sound. There'll be meditations and journeys, and I'm very, very blessed to have, if you know Sacred Earth Music, if you don't know them, Google them to find out. They sing mantra, beautiful people. They've allowed me to use their music as backing for my journeys. So just know you've got them as part of your journey as well, because they were a crucial part of my journey. Their music got me through so many dark times. And when they, by chance, moved into the same town that I lived in, we became friends. That was like icing on the cake. These are beautiful people, and their music takes you places. So I'm very proud to have their music backing my audios. Of course, there's going to be, as I said, there'll be some Zoom-led workshops. Like, for example, we make the dream catcher. I want everyone to show each other the dream catcher. So we'll have a session for that. When I teach you how to read my cards and we have a chance to read for each other, that'll be a webinar-based thing where we can share and do readings for each other. It'll be so much fun. There's also assessments. Okay, so this is the thing we've got, and some of the lessons have one assessment, some have two, some have 2.5. They are important, they are crucial, and I will be needing you to send them to me in order to get through the course. Like, to qualify, you've got to have done these assessments, like homework, and I will be going through that and giving feedback myself. But yeah, just know that they're not, you can't get it wrong, so please don't think, there's no marking. You won't get an F and made to do it again, none of that. It's more just, I just want to hear where you're at. I want to know how you're perceiving what we're talking about. Does that make sense? I'll give you little challenges, but also it's all very, I'm not going to be a chalk and talk person who says, so this is how you do it. I'm going to ask you then to go out and practice it in the field, if you like. So if I'm going to talk about how to read the cards, I'm going to ask you to go and read for so many people and write some reports about that. So they're fun activities, but so some of the lessons will have one, some will have two. There's also, though, throughout the course, self-assessments. Now, these self-assessments are designed the same way, but they're to get you to stop and think about yourself. They're for you to be able to keep track. They're just like, okay, I think this is right. I'm going to put it into practice and test it to see for myself. You can submit them for me to correct if you want me to, but you don't have to, because they're self-assessments. They're more for your own journey, your own records. But I would love to see them. So if you want to submit them, that's great. And so I think, like, as a list, everything I just talked about, it's really, you have there's lots of notes. There's lots of the whole course is written, so it's a written experience. You'll be reading what to do and how to do it. And so so that you can print those off, I'm assuming, I think, based on how it's working, I think you can print them out, but you can keep them as notes and keep them in a folder as a record of your journey. So, of course, my assessments, a lot of them are written based, because I'm a writer. I love writing, so sorry about that, guys. But listen, if you're someone who's not quite sure, like isn't confident, you can record. I'm happy to listen to a recording, then I'll get a real strong understanding of who. I'll hear your voice, I'll hear the tone in your voice, I'll be able to hear, I'll be able to respond just as easily to that. So, all right. Okay, so the next question is, like, I could ask, you might ask, what's the course going to expect of me as the person enrolled? What's my responsibilities? Like what's expected of me? As I said, I don't want perfect. I'm not interested in that. I was a school teacher for a long time. Okay, I had lots of little kids in my class that wanted to be the best student. I'm not interested in that. I don't want perfection. I want your best. I want to know if this is annoying you. I want to know if this is making you, I want to know. So I want to, or if this is exciting you or making you feel anxious. I want to know all that stuff. So I guess I just want your authentic self. Okay, that's what I want you to. I want you to be authentic. I want you to treat me like a friend. I don't want you to see me as Scott King, the person who's put this course together, or whatever. I don't want that. That's boring, and I wouldn't respond well to that. And anyone who's worked with me one-on-one knows that we become like a family. That's the whole point. We're creating a community. We're not creating a teacher-student relationship. We're creating a community. We're building something from the ground up together. Does that make sense? So what does it mean? What do I want from you? I want commitment. I want you to, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Even if it is, and you're not sure, I want your best. I want to see your best. I want you to commit to it. I want you to say, okay, if I'm going to do this with you, Scott, I'm going to do it 100%. Because I can tell you now, many times I wanted to leave when I was training under Raven. I wanted to because I was so overwhelmed. I felt so as if I was having just giant scars being ripped open again. I felt very vulnerable at times. I felt annoyed because some of the things that she was asking me to do felt pointless. How foolish was I? All right, so so it's commitment. I want to know that if you're going to do this, we're going to start, we're going to finish. Does that make sense? So if you don't feel this is the right time, that's a commitment. That's wonderful. If you don't feel this is the right time, own it. Does that make sense? So, but if it is the right time, let's make the commitment too, and say, like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to stick to it. Of course, naturally, I want to know that you've got a genuine love of animals. Now, people think, oh, okay, so in order to love animals, I have to be a vegan, or you don't. Animals eat animals. So there's no judgment, none of that. All right. So if you're a farmer, you're welcome. If you're a zookeeper, you're welcome. If you're an animal trainer, you're welcome. There'll be no competition, there'll be no judgment, there'll be none of that. If you're a vegetarian, if you're a meat eater, it doesn't bother me, because it's all about your integrity, it's all about your heart, it's about your greater purpose, it's about the reason for wanting to do this course. Okay, so there'll be no judgment, and if I hear of anything, I'll be cross. Okay, so I need you to feel a connection to the animals in one way or another. I want you to feel like as if that's something to champion. I want you to feel that the animals are something worthwhile, that they're not just fluffy furniture, or something that we have to make us feel better. Animals are powerful healers, so don't get me wrong. I've had animals my whole life because they make me feel better. All right, but so I'm not dismissing that. I'm not saying that, but it's more like that need to know why animals are so important to you, I guess, and why you feel better when they're with you. Like that's the real question for me. I really want that connection to the animals. That is terribly important, because why do it? Why do a course if you're not wanting to reconnect, or you don't have a connection to the earth mother or nature? Why do this course? There's no point. If you are going to do it and you're not sure, hopefully I'll switch on a few light bulbs for you and the love will grow. But that's one of the things I need to trust that is a priority. Yes, and also this is the part that makes me feel a bit emotional, because once this is all over and you've finished and you've graduated, and whether you decide to get t-shirts printed or whatever, it's entirely up to you, whether it's just for your own journey or what. I guess one of the other commitments would be that I ask is that you become an ambassador for the Earth Mother, that you share what you've been taught, okay, and that you make this a healing mission, not just for yourself, but for everyone else that is willing to listen. I've talked sometimes to people who aren't even listening. So just, I could talk about this underwater. Like, I just love it that much, and it's made my life feel that much better. So for me to be an ambassador for what Raven taught me has been like a guiding light for me. It's been my reason often, particularly in the early days before I remembered who it was fully. It was like the light that came on in the dark. It was my reason to get up in the morning sometimes. So if you can, yeah, well, for me too, Judy, I'm the same. Some days I would much rather be with my animals than people, particularly where the world's heading at the moment with all this violence and cruelty. I just can't cope. But I really would love to think that you would be proud to be an Animal Dreaming Practitioner, formal title, or just even like me, forgetting the formal title, a child of the Earth Mother, the brother and sister to me. Like, I would just be so proud to think that you're willing to journey out into the world with that as a mantle that you're holding up proudly. Does that make sense? So it's not a commitment, but it's something I would hope that you would get to that point. Okay, so this was a question. I'm sorry, I keep looking down because my eyes are blurry and don't want to forget anything. I remember asking Tamara this myself when we first started to put this course together. I said, how are people going to get their lessons? Are we going to be emailing it to them? There's a portal apparently that's going to be on the website, and you'll get a code and you'll be able to access the portal, and all the knowledge and wisdom that you'll be looking for are going to be hidden in there. All your lessons will be there and you'll download. And as we proceed, the lessons will be released to you. So there'll be no jumping around. We'll all be working at the same pace, and we'll all be supporting one another, because we'll have an Animal Dreaming group Facebook page, and it's not a Facebook page, but a group, and it will be secret, and you'll be able to ask each other anything you want there. You'll be able to share stuff, photos, experiences, and it'll be like a hub, if you like. So I can't remember why I even told you that. Anyway, yeah, so anyway, the hub, there'll be this portal, and you'll be able to get all your knowledge, all the lessons and everything that we found there. It's quite interesting because I've never done anything like that myself, so I'm quite excited and nervous at the same time to see how that's all going to come together. But it's I feel really blessed to have that opportunity, to have this platform. I mean, once would have had to have hired a space, and everyone would have had to have travelled there by train or bus or plane to get accommodation. We can do this at home. Like, what a wonderful opportunity. Okay, so I talked about the assessments. Yes, they and this probably sounds a little bit mean, I guess, but I need those assessments done to show you that you're up to the level I need you to be. I need to be able to hear from you personally. I need to know, okay, so they've really got that. They've understood what I'm trying to do there before we move to the next level. So without those assessments, I can't be confident that you got the whole thing, and I can't then, this is terribly important to me. So I need to know everyone's at the same level. If I'm going to let everyone march out into the world and tell people about I need to know you've understood it. Does that make sense? So you've got to do it or else you fail, full stop. They're not my words, by the way. That's quoting my daughter. If you don't do it, you fail. That's not going to happen, but you understand what I'm saying. That's very, like, I can't imagine that I'm not going to get nothing. I can't believe that no one would send nothing. So even if you missed one, I'd still be able to keep up. But I'd love everyone to really make a point of finishing all their assessments. Now, this is the big thing, because to finish this course and then go out into the world and do what I just suggested and teach others to do this too, well, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a chance to know that legally you're protected if some person, because look, the world's filled with, let's be honest, there's idiots out there who love making life difficult for other people, particularly if they're doing something they don't understand. Because when we're faced with something we don't understand, we can often feel uncomfortable, something might feel unsafe. In order to return to a place of happiness and safety, we have to get rid of that thing that's bothering us. So, I mean, and I don't want any of you to feel unsafe. So many years ago, when I first started to put this course together, because this is something like, this is not something I just dreamt up yesterday. This has been in the creative process for about 8 years. And also the course content, by the way, the structure of it all. I had a person who wrote course content for university level students. There was a friend of mine, and I asked them to help me structure this to make sure it was legit. So this is a long process, but way back when I was still only just really doing this for myself, I aligned myself with a group called the IICT, and I'm just thinking, I never can remember. Sorry. I never can remember what IICT stands for. It's the International Institute for Complementary Therapies, therapists. And back then, I joined up as a practitioner, as a reader, basically, because there was really nothing, none of the categories really matched what I did. So I just joined as just as a reader, so that when I did my readings or I was doing my events or whatever, I knew that if there was a troublemaker or someone who wanted to destroy something they didn't understand, they wanted to go legal, I was protected. Okay, so I got insurance. So when this grew and it became something bigger, I approached them and they explained to me how I could create my own module, my own modality. Because what I was teaching or what I was wanting to teach with this course didn't fit into any category, because we're not strictly animal communicators. We're not. We're not. We're healers, but we're not animal communicators. And a lot of people try to somehow make me fit into that basket. And I don't really know how to be strictly an animal communicator because I do it different. I see the energy. I read the energy of people, and that energy takes the form of animals in my consciousness, in the physical form. That's how I see. So with their help, I structured this course to create my own modality. So you might get onto the IICT and you'll see categories like, for example, tarot reading. You might see Reiki practitioner. You might see therapeutic massage therapists. You'll see animal dreaming. So people who want to get insured out there, who are massage therapists, they would go and get insurance under that branding of that type of therapy. But where would I go? So I got them to create a category for me, my own category. Anyway, the whole point of that is when you graduate, you'll be under that category. You'll be under the animal dreaming category. But the most amazing other part is you'll also be under the category of a reader and a healer and the massage therapist and all those other things that you do on the side as well. So that's pretty cool. And it doesn't matter with this insurance company if you live in America or Canada. There are 35 plus countries that these guys work with. And I've got, everywhere, like Ireland, Germany, United Kingdom, Denmark, Austria, it's Estonia, an amazing list of places that you can do as a practitioner, you can work from. But also if you're in Australia and you've got clients from those countries too, it works both ways. So does that make sense? It's a really powerful, I guess to me, it's a bonus. To me, it's like icing on a cake. It's really quite an exciting thing to know that for us, it's good to know that our practitioners are going to be covered. It's good for you to know that if you're following, you're doing everything correctly in the way you should be, then, you'll be covered in case something goes wrong anywhere in the world, which I think is wonderful. So the insurance, but also you become a member of, as I said, the IICT is just being a member alone will give you the chance to be insured as a all the other modalities that you practice as well. So if you're a colour therapist, even if you are an animal communicator it's all, you can get insurance just as a member as well, which is exciting. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Any questions, you know where to find us. So if there's anything here that I need more information on that, it's all on the website as well. Just know that this is something that's unique. This is something that a lot of courses out there, independent courses out there that are being offered, they just don't offer this. They can't, because without this coverage or without this opportunity, I'm sure there's insurance companies out there now that there are a lot of companies out there that will allow you to insure with them, but to have the company behind you that's offering this insurance or this opportunity to be insured, to know that they're of the same mindset as you is very, very powerful. It actually really makes a world of difference to being able to go to them with questions or to ask, well, what can I include this or can I add that to my policy? It's to know that these people are on your wavelength. It makes it so much easier. So I've got to read this because this is from the IICT website. The email they sent us. All the graduates of this course will have access to IICT's, as I said, their exclusive insurance rates. They'll get professional recognition as a certified animal dreaming practitioner. That's in those 35 plus countries. It's quite a to me, what an honour for me to know that you guys are going to have that cover. I just love it. So besides animal dreaming, so if you are insured or you are wanting insurance as in a different modality, you can group them all together under the one membership. So that's, to me too. So it makes it easier if you're under the one policy. Sorry, not membership, under the one policy. So it makes it so much easier to manage as well. As I said, living overseas, not a problem. You have students overseas, not a problem. There's a IICT Facebook community page. So there's lots of opportunities to ask questions of them directly. Does that make sense? You don't have to go through me. You're not going to be left wondering or confused, or you've got a direct line there. You're going to be listed on the IICT directory as a practitioner of animal dreaming. That's exciting. With access to contact details and all that sort of stuff, if you so choose. But also all their promotional material, all the banners and all that sort of stuff, you'll get access to all that as well. Obviously, with the course too, there's a reading list. There's things I need to know that you've got a strong understanding of. You can buy all my books, by the way, from the website, or any bookstore, or you can just borrow them from the library, or if you're doing this course with other people, share. Don't have to all have the same book, you can share. But if you are going to buy them through us, know that as an enrolled student, we'll give you a discount code to use when you're purchasing from us to get a discount off them. So all the books listed on my website, Animal Dreaming, right through to even my Healing with the Animals CD. We'll say, like, they're all really important. They're all you'll be using them during the course. All right, so I think I really want to just quickly go through the course itself, through the course content itself. And then I'll finish off by just chatting about the price structure and everything else like that. And then I'll teach you how to do a little prayer of smoke. All right, so starting from the beginning now, we'll all be coming together for a commencement webinar. All the enrolled people come together for that, and we'll chat about what we're looking forward to. Your first lesson will be released to you, and all of that will take place on July the 3rd. So this first level, it's got a nickname. We call it the barn owl. It's like every level has an owl, a bit Harry Potter, but it's also just a way for us to be able to know what animals protecting us or watching over us. So there's 6 different owls. First level is the barn owl, because I'm just going to show you a little tattoo here. It's an old tattoo, it's a bit stretched, an old one. It's a barn owl on my arm. Love barn owls. I've always loved barn owls, and barn owl was the first animal that showed itself to me in a journey. So of course I had to honour it by having it as the first totem, if you like. So during the first level, this one is very personal because we're asking you to delve deep and like into yourself. So it'll be a lot of it really does, well, it feels like we're doing a lot of inner journey work or shadow work or whatever with the writing. But it's an introduction to what animal dreaming actually is, and introduction to how I started my journey. It is personal. I'm not asking you to reveal any secrets, don't get me wrong, but it's asking you to be honest with yourself and to be really truthful with yourself. And then, we'll journey then into looking at the power animals or the animal influences that have guided us, because this is, again, the sequence that I learned through. It's hard to explain, but you'll understand as we go. Because power animals and totem animals are totally different. The power animal, if you like, is more, if I was to externalize, or if I was to externalize my soul and have it walk beside me so everyone could see it, like the true essence of who I truly was, I truly, in my heart, 100% believe that essence would appear as a barn owl. I've always loved barn owls. I don't know why. I just think they're the most, if I think about them. But more importantly, I have had a barn owl follow me as a spirit since I was a very small boy. I have seen her many, many times. I've experienced her personally. So, the power animal for me definitely would be the barn owl, with the barn owl, because I know that when my journey finishes and I leave this planet, my soul will leave in the form of a barn owl. So when my children see the barn owl after I pass, because I know they will, they'll know that I've made it safely to the afterlife. For me, the power animal is me. I am the barn owl. Like, there is not, when I say I have barn owl as my totem or my power animal, I mean the essence of all barn owl. So to know who you are on that level is very powerful, but then to know what support you have around you is your totem animal. So they're like the angels, if you like, that come and support you. We'll find out what ours are at this chapter in our life, and we'll work with them for this level. So there'll be activities in there. We learn to trust our intuition, and then I'll take you, one of the practical exercise for that level will be, we'll go on a medicine walk, a walk on the wild side, if you like. And that one will be led by a video tutorial. So we've got this, it's a really personal journey, that first level. Does anyone have any questions, by the way? I keep forgetting to ask. No one's butted in, so I'm assuming there's no questions, and I hope I haven't bored everyone to death. But I believe that if you have questions, now's probably a good time to sort of ask. No questions? Very good. Okay, so just know that first level is quite personal. It's going to be, probably of all the levels, probably the most challenging. And it's this, those early stages is when I really wanted to run, when I was training with Raven, because it just felt like I was, I don't know, feeling invaded a bit, but it's only because I'm asking you to think about things you might not have thought of before to help you understand who you are. Okay, so roughly, Tony, each lesson, will last for like about a week. It will be a week, but you won't, some of them are over 2 weeks. Some of the lessons involve more than others, but when I say it takes a week, it doesn't take a week to finish the lesson. Okay, so you've got the whole week or 2 weeks or whatever to finish the lesson. And it's not, Amanda, with the time difference in Perth, I'll come back, Tony. I'll let everyone know. Sorry, yeah, I'll let everyone know. So if you book in and you say you're from Perth, I'll let you know what the time difference will be. The time for here on the East Coast, though, will be 10 o'clock and always on a weekend. So it's not, I tried to organise it so that it was convenient and not tricky and not too early and not too late, because I'm a dad and I've got kids too and all that sort of stuff. So,
and also they are recorded.
And they are recorded, 100% right. Thank you, Tamara. So yeah, Tony, what I was saying was that if you want to whip it over in a day, that's entirely up to you, because trust me, that's what I would probably do. Then it would give me a chance to do it again in a different way. But if you are really, really busy and time poor, then look, that's why I've given a week. But look, all the lessons, no matter what, all the lessons do require you to be honest with yourself. So it does require you needing to be still and quiet. So obviously, if there's challenge there with, because you've got a loud house or a lot of kids or whatever, you just need to make sure that I understand that. Okay, so we just need to communicate. Okay, but it is sort of, yeah, it's important that you take the time to really honour the process too. So I would suggest looking at everything day one and then maybe planning it even, and just time framing each lesson as it comes, but roughly a week, 2 weeks, depending on the lesson itself. Any more questions if I move to level 2? Because this one, level 2, is a little bit more, it's like we're starting to now to trust ourselves. Now that we've got to know ourselves, we've got a bit of an understanding of who we are. We can now start to test a few things and maybe expanding our comfort zones, I guess. And so this one is, there's quite a few lessons in here that talk about trusting your intuition and trusting your gut and trusting your true and authentic self. And there's a lot of practice opportunities. So I'll be showing you how to read my Animal Dreaming cards, either deck, the World Animal Dreaming cards or the Animal Dreaming cards, because they're structured in the same way. Animals are different, but they're structured in a similar way, so they can be interchanged. And there'll be a video tutorial with that. I'll show you. I will literally point to every part of the card and explain what it all means and give you opportunity to experiment with that. I'm going to show you how to listen and receive messages from the natural world. It's called listening with your eyes. And we're going to, like in the course, it talks about, okay, listening, going outside, for example, with a torch and just shining the torch. And whether you live in the city or the country, catching eye shine or the eyes of an animal that's in that area is a good hint, just by in a different way. It's like a totally different experience by going out and finding answers or seeing what animals are working with you at that time. And if you live in really rural areas, you might experience things like, I don't know, foxes and rabbits and owls and all sorts of stuff. So their eye shines different colours. So you get to identify one species from another. That makes sense. So we'll be just experimenting with things like that. And there's an audio download for that where I actually have animal sounds, and I'll explain to you, if you hear this, it means that. So it makes sense. So I'll show you in this level how to actually read and see and read, if you like, or feel and read, or sense and read, I should say, really, someone else's animal or their animal totem, or because those that know me would know that I can, ever since I was a little boy, I've actually seen animal spirits with people. That's how I read people. I look for their animals. It tells me all about them. So if I meet someone and they've got a squirrel, then I know that there's someone who's trying to save for a house, for example. Or if I see someone who's got a little piglet with them, I'll suspect that they're a mum, or they've got children, or they want to be a mum and they want to have children. Does that make sense? So you sort of get I can see these animals now, but it took many, many years to practice. But once I realized what I was doing, I practiced and it became like breathing to me. So if I want to be able to show you, because I don't know how I did it, quite frankly. I don't know how it developed. I don't know how I was suddenly one day realizing I could see someone's animals. But there is a sequence of things that I remember happening. But there's techniques that I know I can, that I've created that will capture that experience for you. So I'll teach you how to do that. And we'll go on a medicine walk where we go out to nature and ask Mother Earth for signs and answers, and she'll present to us different items that we can come back and we can learn to read. So it's quite a powerful experience to go out empty-handed and come back with sacred items that you know is an answer from the Earth Mother. It's a powerful feeling of connectedness and wonderful experience when you've got kids and they're lost and don't know what to do, or they're confused, or not lost physically, I meant lost within themselves, to help them come home to themselves by asking them, just go for a little walk and bring back 6 things and we'll have a chat about it. So I can't wait to share that with you. I'll teach you how to make a dream catcher, and there'll be a live webinar and a video tutorial for that one, where I'll literally, with every knot, I'll explain what we're doing. Every knot, I'll explain the significance and how that, by bringing together that whole sacred web, what we're actually doing in that process of physically making something, but we're actually birthing another part of ourselves into the world at the same time. Sounds dramatic. Well, it is, and it's fun, and it's powerful stuff. And then we'll finish that level with another live webinar where we'll get to share with each other what we've learned from the reading the cards. So during that time, obviously, now that's a really heavy course. That's a heavy level, but as you can see, it sounds like a lot of fun, and it is a lot of fun. But in that last webinar, we'll share the readings, like techniques with cards. We'll read for each other, but also we'll get an opportunity to talk about all the things we've learned during that level. So is there any questions about any of that before I move to the next level? By the way, that's the tawny owl. It's a European owl, and not the tawny frogmouth. It's a different bird entirely. There's the tawny owl. That's the level for that one. They all mean something really personal to me, and that one was actually centered around an elder that I knew at the time who was teaching me things, and so I felt her energy while I was writing that course, so I got at that level after her.
Catherine had one question about when is that level? So the first one starts July.
So that you get the first lesson, and we have that first webinar for that level on August the 7th. You'll get all this information sent to you too, Catherine, and I think from memory it's all on the website as well. But yes, that level starts on August the 7th, again at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday here in Australia. So no other questions? No? Okay, so the level 3, this one is the horned owl. And I love horned owls because there's a story that they only sleep at night in haunted houses. I think that is freaking special. And because this level is really about developing that closer relationship to Great Spirit or the creator energy, not God as such, but the creator, the energy that is creation, I thought what a perfect totem for that level. And this level starts for you, Catherine, on October the 2nd. Okay, so during this level, I'm really going to be showing you how to work closely with the animals. There'll be lots of techniques and practices there, and I might even just, I just want to check. I didn't want to accidentally speak about a lesson that was later on accidentally. So working with the animals isn't just okay, I'm going to learn about them on a spiritual level. It's really understanding or seeing them as equals to us, or brothers and sisters, or in my world, I refer to them as the voice of the Earth Mother. So, can you imagine you being born into the world and understanding the English language, right? This is what I'm trying to teach here, getting people to understand the connections of the animals and the symbology of the animals. It's like a language that we're building. It's a language that we're learning. And imagine being born with that knowledge of all the words in the English language, and then your children being born into the world and half the language not being available to them because you'd forgotten it and everyone had stopped using those words, which happens all the time. Keep it. Just as an English language changes all the time. We lose words, we gain words, blah, blah, blah. But imagine being able being able to describe certain things in a certain way, and then your children coming into the world and being limited in the way that they can describe things. Well, I know that sounds weird, but in my world, when we lose animals to extinction, like I'm losing my children. I don't want them to grow up in a world where there's no gorillas, because there's a big chance that will happen. I don't want my children growing up in the wild, I'm talking about, because there's always, well, for as long as they survive, there'll always be animals like that in zoos, but I don't want my kids growing up in a world where the only gorillas are those that are found in zoos, or tigers. I don't want them. So I see that as being, I don't want my kids being born into a world where the Mother Earth can only use half her once massive language to communicate with us. I want my kids to experience tiger as a word, as a sense, as a language, like as a way of gaining understanding. As a teacher, I want my kids to understand, have that. So I need everyone here to understand that walking gently on the earth is crucial. We need to walk gently on the earth. And we're not. So this lesson is aimed at doing our bit to raise awareness, because without them, we're screwed. Just understand. So this, because I've got dear friends who are dedicated to helping animals in so many different ways. And I guess this is in honour of them. So we'll be talking, there'll be opportunity to learn about them and the things that I do and why I do it. But also, and keeping in mind, please don't think, oh gosh, I'm a dairy farmer, like he's going to hate me. Because that's happened to me before, where someone that I had come to my workshops and became such good friends, and then one day I realized they weren't friends on Facebook anymore. So I messaged them. How petty is that? How silly is that? But I messaged them and said, what's all that? And she said, well, I was a bit worried that you might have decided that you don't want to be my friend anymore, because I saw one of your posts recently about horse racing and I'm a cattle farmer. And I said, oh, for God's sake, seriously. So we're back being dear friends again, but there'll be no judgment. Okay, this is not about that. This is not about, oh, you eat meat, you shouldn't eat meat. That's not about that. It's about walking gently on the earth. Okay, it's about being, and if you are going to eat meat, at least I ask you to be conscious of the animal or the life it lived beforehand or what it went through getting to that point. If you can find peace in how you're eating meat, then I'm not going to judge you at all. I don't care, seriously. We once all ate meat. Even deer will eat meat if they can catch it. So there's really no such thing as veganism or vegetarianism in the natural world, because they know that cows will accidentally eat beetles, or, there's always something that's going in that process. Anyways, working with the animals, understanding that without them, this world would be really empty and pointless. I'm going to teach you all about smudging. I'm going to teach you how to smudge with intent. I'm going to teach you how to create your own smudge, but I'm also going to teach you how to really, because that's what Raven taught me. And I use the word teach because it is a teaching, this one. It's like a sharing of knowledge, I guess. So there's prayers that we say, there's practices, there's things we do. So I'm going to share all that with you to make sure that when you go out into the world, you're safe and you're protected and your family is safe. And sorry, that level, did I say that? Sorry, yes, October the 2nd. Sorry, anyway, so I just want to make sure that you're going out into the world safe, and that if you're having a hard day, or if your kids are having nightmares, or there's, sounds that no one recognizes and everyone's scared, smudge. And it's the most powerful thing, and instantly the spirits listen. Powerful stuff. I'm going to talk about the Wheel of Life, which is, oh, by the way, the smudging one has a video tutorial as well. I want to talk about the Wheel of Life, which is the sequence. It's like the seasons, it's the elements, it's all those sorts of things. And the Wheel of Life, the medicine wheel, I guess we can look at it that way as well. There's a whole cosmology, if you like, of existence in that circle with the cross. You might see one behind me. See just there. You can see that circle with the cross. It's a medicine wheel, and that's the 4 directions wheel, if you like. And it's like a map, and we'll be looking at that. And there's 4. There's sort of like there's 4 journeys. There's 4 meditations. They're meditative journeys. And so there's 4 downloads, 4 audio downloads for those. And they're like going on an adventure. You get to meet elementals, you get to experience different smells and different flavors, different plants, different animals, all just to get you to understand the essence of those 4 directions and the essence and the lessons that they offer us as we journey through life. That's what Raven did to me. She took me on these journeys, and it was life-changing. So the next part of that level is what I call the totem shield, and it's like because when we've identified who our animal is, who we are, like who our, well, it's called a totem shield, but it's actually more to honor your power animal. You can create these shields to protect other aspects of your life where the totems come in. So if you're worried about your job, for example, you can create a totem shield that's going to make sure the best outcome for that. We've got legal issues coming up. You can make a totem shield to ask the spirits to help with certain issues. But this particular shield is a mirror, if you like. If you were to hold up a mirror and look at yourself, you would see this animal, this essence looking back at you, and that's what we're going to capture on a shield. The totem, it's called a totem shield because it shows the spirits, the energies and the elements that make you who you are. And once upon a time, these shields were, and they also included things like the stars, because if they had ancestors that they believe were watching them, or that they believe they came from the stars, or they would create other design into the elements, what am I trying to say? Yeah, the elements into the design to show who they were besides that animal. Sorry, I think I've just gone over time. Does anyone, I don't know if we're allowed to keep going. It's 1 o'clock. I'm just going to be quicker. I'll just quickly get through the rest. So that's sorry about this, guys. Level 3, it starts on October the 2nd. And I think that's finished. I think, it's just, and the last thing is we're going to be making a drum in level 3. And I'll show you everything about how to make the drum, and I'll make sure that you have, and the significance and the elemental aspects of the drum and the journey within parts of the drum. There's a journey drum, not so much a healing drum. It's an octagonal drum. It's a different shape. It's a handheld drum with a beater. Anyway, I'll explain all that, and there'll be a video tutorial to help you understand that. But of course, we'll discuss all that, the whole process, when we have our webinar as well. Level 4 is the snowy owl. I'm not going to go into detail. You'll understand there's a significant reason. This level starts on December 4. In this one, we talk about, this is a big one. Level 4, we talk about I used to be a school teacher, and I was able to work with kids very, very quickly and easily because I saw their animals, and there was these 5 elemental monkeys, and we all have one of these elemental monkeys. And these monkeys basically really indicate who we are and why we do certain things and how we do them in preference. And so they're really powerful archetypes. And so during that lesson, we'll be talking about those, and you'll begin to meet yours and begin to understand that aspect of who you are. I'll be teaching you how to make vibrational essences of feathers and different things that you can actually use in your healing practices, like the bark flower remedies are the same principle, but using animals and nature. So that's a video tutorial. We've got healing with the animals. There's 4 downloadable components there where we actually go on journeys to meet the animals to help us heal with different aspects of ourselves, physically and spiritually, emotionally, personally. As I said, 4 downloadables. There's a whole section that I'm going to be teaching and talking about shamanic tools and healing techniques. I wish I could go into greater detail. There's video tutorials for that. And there's also a live webinar where we get to chat about the kids, and we get to talk about who we are. And we can share all the things we've created as well, but we'll be focusing on, who we are and what learning about our monkey, how that helped wake us up. Sorry, is there any questions for that one? I just feel like I'm rushing, and I'm really, really sorry. None? Okay, so level 5, this is the powerful owl. That starts on February the 5th, 2023. This is where we get serious and gritty, because we're journeying back out now. This is the journeying back out part of the process. We're taught, and there's a whole seminar, a whole section, a whole lesson based around running or setting up and running a spiritual business. And as an animal dreaming practitioner, because I want to make sure you're prepared, I've got to make sure that everyone has the same knowledge and same skills, that everyone has the same chance to succeed. I'll be looking at totemic law from around the world, so cultural sort of significance of animals and how they work with the people myths, legends, all those sorts of things. We're talking about conservation as an animal dreaming practitioner in the animal dreaming community. We'll be talking about what we can do to support and aid animal conservation. We'll be also talking about what it means to be an animal dreaming practitioner. I sort of talked a bit about that earlier, about the pride and about being the ambassador for the Earth Mother, and knowing that, you know, every time you speak or, you know, in that way, you're strengthening her in some way. There's also a live webinar we'll complete where we'll finish off and talk again about the spiritual business aspects of what it means to be an animal dreaming practitioner. Is there any questions? Sorry, I'm rushing, guys. I'm getting really upset because I didn't want to be rushing. Level 6, which is the boobook owl. Now, this is the cutest little Australian owl with these big dark eyes. Very protective in my world. Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble about the boobook. This level starts on April the 2nd, 2023. So you can see how they're spaced out. Some of them are spaced over a month, if you like. Some are spaced over 2 months. So they've spread them out. And this one, we go back to the beginning. We go journey back. So this one's personal as well. This is where we start to really step out into the world. This is like the fool stepping out into the world for the first time with realization. So we talk about the creation of the planet. We talk about the creation of creation. We talk about the dream time. We talk about all sorts of things based on that time before time and our role in that and how it looked for us. We talk about the journey within this one and what we found and what we're prepared to share. Does that make sense? We're also in this one talking about sacred prophecy and the animals of sacred prophecy, the animals that are physically in the world offering us wisdom. And these are the white animals of prophecy, the animals of light, I call them. Because you might have noticed we've got lots and lots of these white animals. What does that mean? Well, it's terribly important for us as the warriors of the Earth Mother to understand what they're trying to teach us as we journey out into the world. We'll be talking about animism, and how that is actually the path that we're following with this course, and what animism is, and how it's basically a belief system that's centered on the fact that everything of creation has a life force. And we'll be also finishing that level with a whole section I call interspecies communication, which is basically animal communication, but involving rocks and stones and trees and plants and mountains. So it's interspecies, also other species, other realms. All right. So basically on a thing, that whole level is about you remembering your personal dreaming, remembering why you're here, and remembering, you know, why you're put on this planet in the first place. You will remember. I hope that all makes sense, guys. Just want to finish off. If there's any questions for any of that. Sorry, I hate this rushing. Right, I have here we are. Oh, gosh, I feel like I'm rushing. The pricing structure. So I want you to understand that there is an early bird special. The regular price is $3,300. I hate talking about this, that's why I'm not looking at you. I'm not a, sorry, the early bird special is $3,300, and that expires on April the 30th. I hate talking about money because this is the tricky part, but you know, when you've got a family and all sorts of stuff, everyone's, you know, and this is work for me. So I guess I'm apologizing, but not at the same time. The true value, though, it was valued for me by, and along the same lines as the person who helped structure it for me, who was qualified in such things as being a you know, tertiary level course content writer. She said it was worth about $6,000. I thought, fair enough, you can say that. She valued it then at about $5,000. So I just put there as a guess for $4,950 is a true price. People have asked me, so I thought I'd share that. Regular price is $3,900 if you want to go after the early bird, which I think is insanity. You've also got payment options there through ZipPay, Afterpay, PayPal, which is like a pay in 4 sort of payment plan. There's options there for those sorts of things. And as a student, you get 10% off everything you buy. And as a graduate, you get 20% off everything in the store, including workshops and seminars for 20% off for life, but not my readings, because they're I take them on a totally different level. So I hope that's all helped. What I want you to do, guys, in your own time is I want you to write it on a piece of paper. This is called a prayer of smoke and steam. I'm going to finish for today. Sorry, I'm 10 minutes late.
Forgot to mention their special discount.
Yes, I'll get to that.
Okay.
What I want you to do, guys, in your own time, because obviously now we don't have time. But I want you to get a piece of paper, and I want you to write on that piece of paper beliefs that you have about yourself that you would like Spirit to help you to move. I'd like you to introduce yourself by telling on this little piece of paper a little bit about yourself, how you perceive yourself. Then I want you to write the things, as I just said, that you'd like Spirit to help you to move. There's false beliefs. And then what I want you to do, I want you to kiss it, because that's sharing your DNA. That's showing that you are committed to the process. You've shared a bit of yourself in the written word, but also a piece of yourself on a personal level. And then I want you to burn it. And I want you to know that Spirit's going to hear these prayers. They call it prayer of smoke. Spirit's going to receive that letter like an email, and it's going to understand what it is you're calling for. Spirit's going to understand the greater purpose for wanting to, or thinking about, or pondering doing this course. Does that make sense? And you'll know then that you've already initiated the process. For those who do book in, my thank you for being a part of this webinar, but also my thank you for booking into the course. You'll receive a further coupon for $100 discount. You'll get a further discount off the early bird special. And the coupon code, as Tomorrow's just reminded me, is Animal Dreaming 100. So if you do book in, there'll be the option to include that code, and you'll get your $100 discount off the total. Tamara, have I forgotten anything? Can you think of anything that I may have forgotten?
Just the code is valid for the next 48 hours. 48
hours from this moment on. So it is a brief window, but I figure if you're going to do it, you'll know that you want to do it. So I guess it's like...
If anyone has any other questions, they can email us at courses@animaldreaming.com.
Isn't she brilliant? She's like a guardian angel who watches over me. That's how I see. I love Tamara very much. Yes, so you can email courses@animaldreaming.com any questions at all. If you have any quick ones, I can answer them right now, but otherwise we will catch up later. I hope I've answered your questions. I hope with all my heart I've given you something to think about. I hope with even greater part of all my heart that you decide to journey with me. It would be a huge honor to have you partake on this adventure with me, which I believe will be the best freaking adventure of your life. But of course, you can be the final judge. Thank you so much, guys, and I really appreciate everything. I'll catch up with you later. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you, guys. Oh, that's really lovely. I just read your notes. Oh, Catherine, you seriously just stumbled on this on Facebook last night.
Meant to be, definitely meant to be here.
It's definitely meant to be here. Catch up with you all soon, guys. You know where I am. Chat later. Bye-bye.